Hey everybody, Luke Gordon. I'm back with part 3 of this current series on simple and effective exercises you can do at home to improve your balance. So if you've had issues with your balance before, or you've had a fall in the past and you're looking for ways to improve your balance at home, this is what this series is all about. So this is part 3, parts 1 and 2. If you want to check those out first, I'm kind of going in order of difficulty, so kind of ramping up. So find which ones are best for you. Again, the ultimate goal with these videos and these exercises for you is that you want to challenge your balance so that you can improve it without running the risk of falling over. So with that in mind, it's a good idea to have something firm in front of you like a kitchen countertop, a dresser, something that you can hold on to just so that you again have good safety with these exercises. So in part 3, we're going to do 4 more exercises that are real good ones to challenge your balance. And then I'll explain any modifications as we go. So the first one I want to share with you then is just marching in place. So again, I would face towards your countertop. I'm going to face towards you just so you can see what I'm doing. You can start by holding on to the countertop if you need to, but it's just simply marching in place. Doesn't sound too crazy or fancy, and it's not. But for a lot of people with balance difficulties, this can be really challenging because as you march, you have to shift your weight to one foot and you have to balance for a second or two. So again, use your hands if you need to at first, and as you get more confident, you can take your hands apart. And at first, you may be only to take real small steps as you march in place, and then as you get better, you can slow it down and even stay on one foot for a second or so. This is really good for that lateral weight shifting, which you're going to need to balance as you're standing and walking just throughout the day. So again, just kind of work into it. You can have your hands resting on the countertop at first, and then ultimately, you can just have your hands kind of hovering there in case you need it. So that's a really good one, really solid one to work on. And then like I said, as you get better at it, just slow it down. And so you're shifting to the right, you're shifting to the left. So that dynamic, that weight shifting is really good for balance, especially if you feel like you're off balance when you're moving around out in the community. So that's the first one. The second one then is what I call toe taps. Now for toe taps, you can use like a step. I'm just going to show you kind of on the bottom rung of my stool here. It's like marching in place, but now what you're going to do is you're going to tap your foot on something and just tap. So it's a little bit different movement because you're actually lifting the foot up higher and you're trying to softly put it down on an object. So that could be the bottom step at home. It could be like a little stool you have in your kitchen or just like a rung like this, and you're just tapping back and forth. Now again, you might start with holding onto the countertop to make sure that you can do that safely, and then over time, maybe you don't feel like you need to. So again, you're shifting your weight as you're tapping and lifting that foot. You're shifting your weight while moving with the other leg. So it's a good way to throw off your balance and challenge it. The cue that I usually give clients in the clinic is when you tap your foot, you're not trying to like smash it onto the step. So like you're tapping an egg. Don't crush the egg. You're just lightly tapping your foot, and that just gives you the control and the challenge with that exercise. So that's the second one for this video, is those toe taps. The third one is another really basic good exercise, which you're kind of already working on with those first two. If you get to the point where you can do this, just single leg balance. So we call it single leg stance. So nothing too fancy here. You're standing on one leg. Ultimately, if you can work your way up to like 20 or 30 seconds, this is a really good indicator of your balance. Standing on one leg is hard for a lot of people, especially for adults and older adults. So work your way up to it. Again, you've got the counter there for support. Maybe you can only do it for 2 seconds at first, then you're working your way up to 5 seconds, then you're working your way up to 10. It's a really good one. It requires a lot of stability in your ankles and in your hips and your core. So it requires a lot of stability in those muscles. So it's a good one to work your way up to. So again, using all the ones that we worked on so far, this is a great one to build up to. Just like in parts 1 and 2, there's ways you can, if you get to the point where single leg stance is easy for you, there's ways to make that more challenging as well, which you could do with head turns. You could do with closing your eyes, which is really challenging for a lot of people, or you could get that squishy piece of foam back out, or standing on a squishy surface like a pillow or a couch cushion. So that's the third one, single leg stance, single leg balance. And there's ways to make that more challenging if you get to that level, which if you do, good for you, because that's a hard one to get to. And then the fourth one that I want to share with you is another really good one. If you've got your long countertop or your dresser, is just doing sidestepping. So sidestepping, if you want to look at my feet here one more time, sidestepping, the most important thing with sidestepping, it sounds pretty obvious, you're just stepping side to side down the length of a counter. Let's say it's 5 feet or 10 feet, and then you go back the other direction. The most important thing that you want to do with sidestepping though, is you want to make sure those feet are turned forward. Now slightly out is okay if that's what's comfortable with your hips and your feet, but the majority of folks with hip weakness are going to turn their feet out, and that doesn't really accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. So again, try to turn your feet forward, and then as you're sidestepping, keep them forward. Okay? So that's a great one for balance, and it's a great one for hip strengthening as well, which is part of your balance. So you're moving, it's dynamic, and you're working muscles that are really integral for maintaining your balance. The obvious way to make that more difficult, if it's too easy for you, is to add some kind of a resistance band or a loop around your ankles. So those are the 4 in part 3 here. So let's recap. We've got marching in place, we've got those toe taps, we've got single leg balance, and we've got stepping side to side. So if you've worked your way through this whole 3-part series, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope they're helping you with your balance. Please comment below if you have any questions, or just if you want to leave me some positive feedback. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate that. And again, if you have any questions on balance, fall prevention, just leave a comment below the video. And then one last thing I wanted to mention is that at the clinic at Gordon Physical Therapy, we're now just starting to launch virtual online balance classes. So we can kind of reach out to people just outside of our city and our state. So if you have any interest in those classes, just leave a comment below the video. Or at some point, I'll probably have a link in the video description. So depending on when you're watching the video, check the description for that link. So again, thank you for watching. I hope these exercises are helping you improve your balance, and I'll see you next time.